Hi, my name is Bill Ziegler, and this is another edition of Bringing the Zoo to You. Today I'm really happy to present to you two of our newest large residents here at the zoo. Behind me is Brutus and Titus. These are our two new male lions that have just come into the zoo. Actually, they arrived on March 17th, and this is their only second day out in their environment. And of course, it's a beautiful day, so they're loving the scenery. Get a chance to see them. Brutus is the animal that's on your right, and Titus is on your left. These are two brothers. They were born in the same litter, and they came from the Brookfield Zoo. They're about 4 years old at this time, and almost full grown. We can tell the difference between Brutus and Titus. Titus has that long extension of fur down along his belly there, and also his mane is a little bit shorter and a little bit lighter than Titus's, who's remaining there in his laying position. We brought these animals in during this quiet time, obviously, because it was ideal for introducing them to their new environment, and the staff have been working very closely with them. They were transported by land or by truck, actually, from the Brookfield Zoo. And we thank the Brookfield Zoo for all the work they've done with these lions. They have worked with them and made them very calm. And as you can see, even though this is the only second day that they're out, they are very calm. He's taken a big yawn there. Lions themselves are pride animals, and it may be a little bit odd that we have two males, but the reality is when young males in a pride that are born in a pride reach their age of about 2 to 3, they are pushed out of the pride at that time, and that's done for a number of reasons. One is not to compete with the pride lion males that are in charge of the pride, but also it allows for genetic information to be transferred from one pride to another. But what happens is these young males tend to buddy up, as these two have done, and they may spend the rest of their lives together, traveling around looking for other prides that eventually they can become the head of. This usually occurs by the time they're 4 or 5. They get large enough to take on perhaps older alpha lion males that are in charge of other prides. So keeping them like this together is a natural occurrence that you would find in the wild, and it was ideal for us bringing them in. These two animals were part of our national breeding program called the Species Survival Plan. This is a program developed by the American Zoo and Aquarium Association. It's done where all the lions in North America are in our association are managed as one population. We analyze that population from a genetic and demographic standpoint and make the proper choices of who actually ends up producing cubs based upon that genetic makeup. Our goal is to maintain genetic diversity within the lion population. Now, strangely enough, the lions that you see today are the result of importations that took place between 1989 and 1996. Prior to that, we found, as we did a genetic analysis of lion populations, that there was a lot of hybridization between the African lion and the Asian lion. And so we actually stopped our breeding program at that time, and these importations took place where we knew the exact lineages of these animals, and we began breeding again in 1996. And so these two boys are a product of that breeding program. The goal of the program is to maintain or keep a sustainable population within our zoological institutions so that we can show the public and let the public become engaged with our programs, and also, as I said, show the public what lions are actually. These are very charismatic animals. They're known as the apex predator in the wild in Africa. There's actually 2 subspecies that are recognized now for lions in Africa. You have Panthera leo, which is called the northern or central African lion, and then you have Pantholeus melanocea, which is what these two are. They're known as the eastern or southern African lions. They also are more characteristic of having that dark mane that you see. Now, why do lions have manes, or males have manes? We're not really sure of the complete answer, but we think there are a couple of ways. One, obviously, it does distinguish them from other lions and it makes them look a little bit more larger. We also know that male lions fight a lot, and that mane could protect them as far as devastating bites that may occur. But having said that, there are male lions without manes. And in fact, the eastern population of lions in Africa tend to have less manes than the western lion has less manes than the eastern lion does. So not every male lion is going to have a mane for you. Their average life expectancy in the wild is anywhere between 12 and 15 years of age. Under professional care in our institutions, they can live longer. The longest known lion was about 30 years of age. So they have a much more protected life under professional care. They have good veterinary care, they have good nutrition, so that's why you would expect to see a longer life expectancy in those animals. In the wild, because they are the apex predator, they do a lot of fighting, and of course they are coming across a number of threats out there besides habitat loss that include things like distemper and other diseases that have been introduced by humans and by domestic livestock as well. So that's why their life expectancy in the wild may be shorter. Big males of the eastern and southern race of lions will weigh up to about 450 pounds. Females will weigh about 375. Their length is about 6 to 7 foot for males. Now the length is from the nose to where the tail starts. Their tail can actually be another 3 feet in length. Females are a little bit shorter. They average about 5 to 6 foot in length altogether. And as I said, they only weigh about 375 pounds. So these guys, again, are getting used to their environment and checking everything out. We don't think that they've seen Canadian geese before, so they're very interested in our Canadian geese and also very interested in our staff. As I'd mentioned, the Brookfield Zoo had done a great job in working with these lions, so they've stayed very calm and has allowed our staff to get to know them quite well. They have great personalities. Titus being perhaps the more energetic and a little bit more active. You can see he's kind of checking everything out right now, all the crevices around there. They did this yesterday as well. So these are our 2 new male lions, and we hope that when we do open back up, you'll get a chance to come in and see them. They're going to be here for a long time. As I said, they're a part of the SSP program, and we'll maintain them here until the SSP program decides that they would like to have them reproduce, at which time they'll consider perhaps either bringing in females to Brookfield, or we would end up moving these 2 to another location and bringing in additional lions. This is something that goes on in zoos in general through a number of SSP programs, not just for lions, but for about 125 different species that we have here at the zoo are involved with SSP programs. And so we're always looking at how to pair animals up as best as possible and moving animals in and out of the zoo to assure that we are developing a self-sustaining population. There's a good photograph of, that's Brutus up there at the top, up in the sun. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them. If you're interested in supporting the care and welfare of Brutus and Titus, you can do that by going to our website at czs.org and looking up Share the Care, where we do provide an opportunity for you to adopt animals, and along with that you'll get a photograph of the animal that you adopted and bio and information about the particular animal as well.
How many hours a day do they sleep?
Well, generally lions tend to be active for only about 4 or 5 hours. They tend to rest a lot. Some people say, well, they sleep for 20 hours out of 24. They don't actually sleep that entire time. They lay around a lot. They have social interactions with each other. Cubs will play, but they do tend to be very restful for a big part of the day, mainly because hunting expends a lot of energy. and in order to maintain that energy for the hunt, they tend to take it easy.
What are those poles in their habitat?
Oh, those poles are set up for enrichment items. We'll be able to hang all kinds of things from those poles, from large bones and meat to enrichment items themselves that will allow the animals to be engaged in their environment. We constantly add enrichment items to the environment here, so that every day there's something new for them to check out, either smell or perhaps engage with. So we use those poles a lot for that activity.
What do they eat?
Primarily lions, of course, as I said, they're apex predators. In the wild, their basic diet consists of wildebeest, zebra, and other ungulates. Now, ungulates are hoofed animals. They can be even-toed or odd-toed animals like antelope and gazelles. They do not tend to go after things like elephants, hippos, and rhinos, but most other large antelope are a good prey item. They do tend to leave the smaller antelopes like duikers alone. So mainly, and when they hunt, the unique thing about their hunting capability is the female lion tends to do the majority of the hunting, and they actually work as a group. This is one of the most social cats in the world because of the pride, and as an effect of that, they hunt very effectively as a group of lions because these larger ungulates are very fast, and one animal couldn't outrun a zebra or a gazelle or an antelope by themselves for a long period of time. So they station themselves along a pathway that the animals are moving, and then the various females come into play as they're running the antelope down to a point where they can finally run it down and actually sort of wear it out before they get a hold of it.
Can you remind us what their names are and how old they are and where they came from?
Sure. The animal that's on your far right now, can you see behind that tree, that is Titus. And you can tell Titus, you can see down on his belly there, he has a row of long fur. And then the other animal over here on your left is Brutus. Brutus has a little bit darker mane and a little bit longer mane, but you don't see that long fur down on his belly.
How big can lions get?
Well, male lions of the eastern race can get up to 400, 450 pounds. Females average about 375 pounds. Lengthwise, from head to where their tail starts, a male can be anywhere between 6 and 7 feet, and a female averages about 5 to 6 feet. And then their tail can be anywhere from 32 to 36 inches long.
What do they eat here at the zoo?
Here at the zoo, they're given a special diet. It's called a feline diet that's commercially made. They also receive large shank bones and other bones that we acquire through our commissary. The diet is created by our nutritionist, Dr. Jen Watts. We have one of the few PhD nutritionists on staff here that zoos have. And so we give them a very balanced diet.
How much do they eat?
On a given day, they'll easily eat 6 pounds or so in a diet, and then they get their other bones and things added to that. Now remember, they're not out hunting, so they don't have to eat a lot, because in the wild, these are also called gorge eaters. And when they kill a prey, they can sit down at one feeding and actually ingest up to 20 pounds. But that's because they have to burn a lot of energy in hunting. Whereas here, under our care, they don't have to expend that kind of energy, and if we fed them that much, they would get very fat.
And can you remind us again how long lions live for?
Lions in the wild live an average of about 12 to 15 years. And under professional care, they can live longer. Some lions have been known to live close to 30 years, but that's an extreme under professional care. Their average life expectancy under professional care is probably more between 15 and 20 years of age.
And can you also remind us one more time why these two can live together?
Okay, they are brothers. So as in the wild, they were born together and have grown up together, which is what would occur in the wild in a pride setting. And so they actually form little buddy groups as they get older. As I said, at about 2 to 3 years of age, male lions are pushed out of prides. So they travel together as brothers as they go around the areas where they can one day become in charge of another pride. So keeping these two together is sort of a natural behavior. They are well bonded together, and they would tend to stay together in the wild for their entire life.
Are their tongues rough like a house cat's?
Pardon?
Are their tongues rough like a house cat's?
Yes, all cats' tongues are very, very rough. And of course that helps them when they're licking tissue and other things off of their prey. It helps wraps the food for them.
All right, where do they sleep?
Well, they sometimes they'll sleep during the day out here in the environment, but we also have a back area behind that environment that you see, and we have a number of areas back there where they can spend the night in protected areas. We are concerned at times about inclement weather and things that may go on at night, so they are allowed to come in and spend the evenings in a back area.
Did they have to get any vaccines before they came here?
Yes, as a matter of fact, whenever we transfer animals between zoological parks, the animals are giving health checks at the zoo that they're coming from, and then when they arrive at the zoo that they're going to live at, they're also given a health check and giving vaccines that may be needed. So we are very careful about that. We don't want to take a chance of introducing any issues into a zoo's populations. So they're maintained very carefully. They get yearly physicals as well, and so they have a tremendous health program. Probably our health programs here at the Brookfield Zoo, I would say, are better than most house pets. They have a number of vets that attend to them, another number of vet technicians, and of course our animal care staff constantly watch over them.
And can you remind us one more time where they came from?
These two came from a zoo in Salt Lake City called the Hogle Zoo. That is where they were born. They were part of the lion SSP, or the Species Survival Plan, and so they had a litter out there. And as they got older, of course, the zoo itself has limited space, so they needed to move the lions, and we contacted Hogle Zoo and said, we have a space for them, would you please send them here? And of course the SSP program had to agree to that, which they did, of course, and now we have them.
So will they move to another institution at some point?
They might. It depends. Later on, as they get older, if their genetic information that they have becomes important and needs to be represented in the population, they may go to another zoo where they'd be a part of a breeding program. Well, we want to thank you for attending another Bring the Zoo to You. Obviously, we hope you're staying home, staying safe. And again, if you would like to find out more about these guys, you can go on our website at ccs.org. And if you're interested in adopting Brutus or Titus, you can also go to that website and look at Share the Care. So again, thank you very much and have a wonderful day.